Welcome to the Holeinthewall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Holeinthewall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
James, good morning to you.
Good morning. What a great day.
Oh, I love today's guest, too. It seems like a lot of our guests recently are people that we're kind of meeting for the first time.
Yeah, a lot of new people.
Which is very exciting, very fun. But boy, isn't it nice to have somebody who's just an old friend on the show?
You know, it's fun because it's an old friend is probably a loose interpretation, just somebody who's been part of our orbit and our sphere for many years, personally and in business. And he's also a repeat guest on the podcast. So I'd love to get him in here. Kyle Davis. Kyle is the owner of Integrity Financial. He happens to be my personal financial advisor, as well as
mine,
as well as Bill's, and about majority of my family and all of our friends. So we've known Kyle since 2017, I think at least. And we were part of a networking group together. You have not been on the podcast since episode 37.
I think we saw it was August 23, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's been far too long. And guys, it's an honor to be back. You know, I always enjoy our time together, and I miss you. I miss you. For those who are listening, I recently moved to Destin, Florida. I was an Orlando resident for 19 years and moved 7.5 hours away back to my hometown. And I miss these guys. So it really feels good to be back.
It's good to be missed.
Yeah. Well, obviously we talk, but don't get a chance to see you very often. And frankly, there's insight and there's wisdom that you have. And I just want an update on your business. I mean, you obviously, it's been, almost a couple of years since you've been on the show. So I'd love to bring everybody up to speed on kind of what you do, who you are, your background, kind of reintroduce yourself to the world. And I want to hear what's been going on in your life, because you've just all kinds of adventures happening.
Sure. You got that right. This has been one of the longest years of my life. But I guess to start at the beginning, my name is Kyle Davis. I am the owner of Integrity Financial Group. We are a registered private office with Prudential Advisors. I've been a financial advisor for 15 years. At this moment, but as of this coming Monday, not so much. But for the past few years and before, I've been a solo office. I personally manage about $45 million of assets. And starting this Monday, I'm bringing on my lovely wife as my administrative assistant. She is quitting corporate. She is giving corporate the boot forever, and she's coming to help me at the office and getting to do some of the stay-at-home mom stuff part-time. So I'm super jazzed for her. She really wants that life, and I want to help her have it. So it's good. It's a good time. Good time. And I moved up to Destin. It'll be 1 year on Saturday. And we got up here to build a house and be near family. And boy, like Ferris Bueller says, life comes at you fast, because I moved up here to be, near my mother and all my cousins and aunts and uncles and such. And then this past February, my mother passed away very unexpectedly. It's a crazy, hard thing. And nobody ever in a million years saw that coming.
Yeah. Wow. But your family's thriving there, right? Your family's doing well. You all are thriving there.
Yeah, we love it here. She was supposed to be a part of that plan for a lot longer, but we always knew that, we would all get older, and one day we just didn't think it would be now. We're doing awesome though, Bill. It's, I was nervous moving the business because, I had established myself in Orlando since the beginning, and being a financial advisor is very, very relationship based, very trust based, very high trust. And, you don't want to compromise that or break that trust by pulling the rug out from under people. So I tried to really make this as long of a expectation as I could and tell people way in advance what my plans were. And if people needed to make decisions, I respect that. Yeah. I'm a business owner and I get it. You got to do what you got to do. Fortunately, I've been extremely blessed. I've literally lost 2 accounts since leaving Orlando. And that's a tremendous thing, because we service about 120 families on a regular basis.
Wow.
And so I'm very thankful. I'm very humbled by that. I'm very blessed. I think in one respect, the world getting very much more comfortable with Zoom and virtual meetings and such.
I think that COVID when it was here several years ago, taught us all that we can maintain relationships and even create new relationships with Zoom.
Yes. Yes. In fact, I mean, I remember when James was heading up our BNI networking group every week. I mean, we were thriving during COVID.
Yeah.
Absolutely bursting at the seams during COVID, and it was all virtual. And I want to say we weren't the only ones that had that experience. So the comfort level with Zoom and virtual got so high with people that it really, I mean, I got lucky. It played into my favor. I'm not gonna pretend I did anything to deserve that. I got lucky. Everyone got comfortable with virtual, and I was able to not stress as much with everything else going on in life.
Yeah. So as a financial advisor, you only lost a couple clients moving out of the area, which is actually, I think that's remarkable.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really is.
But you don't really have to be here, right, to be my advisor. What do you think is your biggest challenge in that distance? And have you been able to really scale with your local community there?
That's a work in progress, and relationship marketing has been the number one key point in how I've grown my business. And I know you guys can relate, because that's what it's all about. It's about forming genuine relationships. It's not about how many mailers you can send out or how many business cards you can pass out. It's about how many genuine conversations you can have with people. And in fact, I was just mentoring a guy yesterday, because we do not have a lot of prudential advisors out this way. We have a giant concentration of them in Orlando, but there's like 3 guys in all of Northwest Florida. And I'm not gonna bring up names, but I mean, one is this young guy, and he felt like he was just on an island. And I was asked to spend some time with him by one of our senior leaders, and I said, sure, send him over. He was about an hour away. He made the drive. I respect that. I bought him lunch. We had about 2 or 3 hours in my office chatting. This was yesterday, and what I found out was that this guy who had been in business 3 years was already feeling burnt out. And I was like, why is that? I found out the guy has no concept of what relationship marketing is. It's been all phone leads, internet leads, cold file calling, things like that. And I said, whoa, I gotta help you change the game, brother, because you're going to burn out not once, but every 6 months, probably, if you keep at the pace you're going. So I did my best. I kind of walked him through, my journey and how I've been able to grow and sustain my financial planning practice. And he walked away with this gigantic, front and back sheet of notes with 3 big stars next to 3 points. And I told him, I said, man, you're not in a position of strength when you call someone on the phone. And you never will be.
No.
And even if you do business with that person, you will always just be the phone sales guy. You will never be their trusted advisor.
Yeah.
Ever. It will never happen. Yeah. You will spend days, weeks, months, years working with these people. You will never be their trusted advisor.
We've actually. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
I was gonna say, but if you change the way you think about who you are and how you do business, you need to meet people face to face and form genuine connections, have real conversations. Because when you walk into a room, you need to know that you are already the successful guy. You are there to help people who need your help. You don't have an agenda beyond that. That's it. Someone needs your help, you're there.
That's
you're
right.
Professional, and you're a success.
And frankly, that ties into what I was going to interrupt you to say, was that recently we're having this conversation that I may understand that I have a product or service that you need, and you may actually need it, but I rarely can come straight at you with that and open with that, okay, and have any success. What we have discovered, because we've been working with a sales coach here, and what he's saying in so many words is you can't come straight at somebody. You've got to come in the side door, not as the insurance salesman, not as the investment sales guy, not as the drywall repair guy, just as a good person. And when you come in the side door and then they discover, oh, that's what you do. I had a guy I went to church with one time, Kyle, went to church with him for 4 years before I even knew he sold insurance. And I wound up buying 4 policies from him.
That's great.
Didn't even know. He never mentioned it.
Yeah. And we really stopped thinking about things as selling, right? We're not selling. We're just providing a solution for their problem. And so for us, someone's got damage from a flood or whatever their issue is. it's not about us selling our services. It's about us providing a solution for their problem.
Yeah, try to get our solution to see if it aligns with the problem they have.
Yeah. And most people don't know, like in your situation, most people don't know that they need somebody like you in their corner, right? You can't just expect someone online to become your personal advisor and give you the proper advice. It's like in business, you need a personal banker, somebody that you can call when, like, we had a check that we needed to have, they were going to put a small hold on part of the check. It's like, no, I need all the money cleared. So I called our banker, says, hey, listen, can you release the rest of these funds? Yes, no problem. Because that's a relationship I have with this banker. And if I need advice financially, I need somebody that I trust that's going to make good decisions for me. But how do I know that person if it's a cold call and a phone call, right? I don't know.
You never will.
I never will.
Right.
And frankly, you got the New York life. You got the people who are out there that they come out of school and they're just trying to sell. Well, how long have you been in the business? Are you a fiduciary? Have you been around the block a minute? What kind of successes do you have by working with your customers? And you don't know that by a phone call. You know that by relationships that are built a lot of times face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you could have said it better, honestly. The philosophy aligns perfectly with how we've made our entire business culture out to be. I know deep down in my heart that I know deep down in my heart that I could probably help anybody who can fog a mirror. And that's just how it is. But it has to come from a place of I want you to decide before we even sit down for an appointment or even sit down for, an initial meeting or something, that you already feel that I am a credible professional. And I'm not, because I'm never going to ask somebody for an appointment. They're going to ask me for an appointment. That's where I'm at my business. I don't ask people for meetings anymore. Somebody says, hey, we need to get together. And then I'll just wait. I'll call them like a week and a half later. Hey, do you still want to get together? How about coffee next Tuesday? Oh, yeah. That's how the majority of my appointment setting goes these days. Mm-hmm. And because, the B&I culture and the visibility, credibility, profitability continuum we talk about in B&I all the time. I mean, it just, you have to move from one to another. It's that showing up thing that we were chatting about before we hit the record button, and I heard a guy who was really big in our industry in the 70s and 80s, a guy named John Savage. He had this famous quote. He was always $1 million roundtable speaker, MDRT God in our field. And he always said in his keynotes, the only thing you ever have to do to be successful in this business is last. And I think that really plays into the whole showing up and then showing up again and keep showing up over and over and over. Because something interesting that I noticed when I moved up here to Destin, because in Orlando, and you guys know this because you've been out of the networking scene for a long time, maybe not as much anymore, but you have a lot. Yeah. You know that in your market center, you cannot walk 10 feet without tripping over somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. That's because you have all those market centers concentrated right in your city because it is a big city. And I did not know this when I first started out. I moved up here and there's literally one other guy who does what I do, who comes to chamber meetings and stuff. And I've known him for 20 years because we go to the same church.
Wow.
So it's crazy how different things can be geographically too, because I expected to have that same struggle here. Here, it's just real estate people. It's real estate, mortgage, home services. It's 90% of the professionals you see out there are in your sphere, not mine. We struggle to get financial people.
Wow.
So let's talk about some of the myths of why people maybe don't know they need you. Like what are some of the minimum numbers? What are some things you look for, you advise people on before they need to find a financial advisor to kind of help them?
That really depends a lot on where they're at. I always say that I want to be spending my time helping people who I can really provide value for. Yeah. I decided a very long time ago that we would never impose minimums on anybody who came through a friend or family or B&I referral. We've always waived those minimums. But if someone's off the street and I don't know them and it's a first appointment, there's no referral, I tell them our minimum is $250,000. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fair because that's a good use of their time. It's a good use of my time. But I think really those red flags or those signals that somebody could maybe notice that, hey, I might want to talk to the financial advisor. It's mostly centered around when big changes happen in people's lives, big life events.
Yeah.
A move to a new city. You're probably going to need to move your old retirement plan over in a lot of cases. A death or divorce. I mean, the worst things possible. I hate to say it, but you need somebody like me in those situations, because people who DIY and try to make all those decisions with no guidance end up making permanent, irrevocable decisions that they're going to follow them around for the rest of their lives. And there's also happy things too, like had your first child. That's a great signal to consider some life insurance or maybe a college savings plan. We just do it right through the FRS website, Florida, or not FRS, through the Florida prepaid website. We have a great prepaid college program in Florida. It's one of the best. That's why I never open 529s or prepaid. We just do it all through the state because it's so good. I could open all that stuff, but I don't, because it's not necessary. And then my favorite, of course, is when someone is succeeding astronomically well in their business. In my eyes, astronomically well is probably a lot more humble than some people think. Someone's making multiple six figures and they're maxing out their 401k, and they're really not stressed out about dollars as much anymore. And you notice it. You notice it sometimes with people, because you notice that they're volunteering a lot more. They're not in the office as much. Maybe they start a little side business because they just want to, because it's fun and they don't like golf. Sometimes there are these interesting signals that you see. And, a lot of people have multiple advisors. My biggest client for a long time had 3 advisors. I was his main advisor for about 3 years until I moved. And then, he had to make a decision. He needed someone closer. He had a lot of complex stuff going on. And I totally respect that. So it's all good. We're still pals. But I try not to get overly, complex about how you come about working with an advisor. Really, if you've got someone who does what I do, who you like them, you could have a regular conversation with them like a normal person. I would encourage you, just sit down with that person, have coffee, and just ask any questions that you've got on your mind. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. And then when some major life event comes up, you're going to need them anyway. So take advantage and just find someone you like.
Yeah, and it's true, because when there is a major life event, maybe a death, so there's an inheritance, or maybe you're retiring and you no longer want your corporate plan, you want to be able to mold it yourself, or you're just not happy with the way something's going on in the market or in real estate or whatever, you need someone to kind of help navigate you through that. It's important to have somebody like you in their corner. And frankly, when I had some young members of my family that had an inheritance, I needed somebody that I trusted to send them to, so I knew that they were in good hands, and not just because of experience, but because you're going to be around a minute, right? So you're going to be around a long time, and so you'll be able to manage and help my family through navigating their financial issues, for a long, long time. Even my parents, heck, when they retired, the first thing I did was give them your phone number.
Yep.
I love your folks. Yeah. They're so sweet. But I mean, you make a really good point. I mean, I got into this business when I was 26. I turned 41 last November. So I've got quite a few years left in the tank.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to see, what I've been able to do in these first 15 years. I'm really excited to see what the next 15 years look like. And the CPA firm that I'm renting space from, she wants to sell me the building. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. I've always wanted to own my own office. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that's exciting. Might be a property owner too. So tell me a little bit about what's future plans. What's going on with you, long term, you think?
Man, with my work's pretty boring. I do a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. And one of my concerns that I always think about is, I don't ever want to get to a point where I'm too big to spend the time I need to spend with people to get the job done right. And honestly, I'm probably always going to be a solo advisor. I don't think I'll ever be a part of a team. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see that working for me. And I've heard horror stories. I'm not going to let that dictate my, perception of that, but I just don't think it's for me. I'm excited to be bringing my wife on. I think that's going to be an amazing next phase for us.
Yeah, that is exciting.
It's going to It's going to give, thank you. It's going to give her a much better work life. She had this high pressure corporate life in her previous job. And, when my mom passed in February, rather, we kind of accelerated our plans, and she put in her notice earlier to, kind of help me and, mentally, spiritually, work wise. I needed her support, and she was more than happy to move that quit date up a little bit.
Good.
But no, she has the skill set. I'm super excited she's coming on board. And I think that's going to, I think it's definitely going to give me the opportunity once again to do what I should be doing with all my time anyway. And that's being out in the community and educating and volunteering and just, making, like I said, genuine connections with people, because that's the only thing that works for me. It's the only thing that's ever worked for me. And quite honestly, I enjoy that. That's what keeps me coming back to work over and over and makes me excited about the next 15 years is what kind of great relationships and what kind of great people am I going to get to meet in the next 10, 15 years? And that's the exciting part for me. I get to really be a part of a community and contribute and help. And it's just great. And I'm happy to be back here where I had such a strong foundation as a kid. I'm here as an adult for the first time and a business owner for the first time, a parent for the first time. So I'm wearing all new hats, but it's been really great.
Mm-hmm. I want to shift gears for just a second. A couple of weeks ago when we spoke, you were talking about, you'd been thinking about what it means to peak in business. Can we kind of unpack that a little bit and dig in?
Definitely. It's when I say peak in business, that's probably going to resonate differently with every single person who hears that phrase. It's like the word retirement. It's never the same meaning to two people. So my definition of peaking in business, meaning reaching the top of your game, is when I had some, hang on, let me consult my notes so I don't miss anything here. Mm-hmm. When you arrive at a very sustainable level to take care of all the financial needs, all the employer needs, and then you're finally able to put yourself first a little bit. I think you guys can relate. We're never first in line. We're never first on the list.
So true. Yep. So true.
For anything, we always put other people first. When all the boxes are checked and somebody is standing there going, wow, I'm not stressed out about money. I'm not stressed out about clients. I'm not stressed out about, what my calendar looks like. Am I really working right now? It's one of those things where you're only going to know it when you feel it. I'm definitely not there by any means, by any stretch, but I've started to notice changes in myself and in other people that make me think, wow, maybe I'm on the right track. Maybe I'm doing something right, because this feels like it's getting a little easier. I'm not as stressed out about certain things. And I'm learning to be able to just be like Elsa and let it go when things don't go my way, instead of, get all worked up or frustrated about it. But I think it's when the metrics align with the vision. When you have that vision of what you really want your life to look like, and the business actually finally aligns with that vision, I think you've reached your peak. Mm-hmm. I really do. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's to tell you the truth, it's almost, and I'm just imagining that because we're not exactly there yet either, but I think it's almost a letdown, because it's a shift. Like, you moving to Destin, that's a big shift for you. But if you've showed up to the office and you've worked and you're worried about the calendar and you've done all those things that are necessary to run a business for how many years, and then suddenly none of that is relevant anymore. I actually had an epiphany, but my word of the day, epiphany, sorry. I feel like I keep using that. But just thinking through what we're doing with our business, and what does that look like a few years down the road when the struggle is kind of, we're over the hump there. And I told James, this is going to get by quicker than you think, because you're just down in the trenches and you're working and you're working and you're working, and days pass and months pass, and you're always hoping and looking for that day of relief that's coming. And then one day, a couple of years will pass and that day will come.
It's like when your kids go off to college. So I don't know how I'm going to feel, but like I think I'm just too antsy to sit still and do nothing. But I do love the idea of being able to just rest in the I'm okay, so I don't have to stress today mode, right?
Yes.
And frankly, I think you're right. I can give back more when I'm not so worried about the day-to-days here at Holeinthewall. If we get to the point where I'm able to just kind of, not be here for 40, 50 hours or more a week, you can just enjoy the process that you've built. I've got a great team underneath me now that is running the bulk of the operation now, which allows me to do podcasts and to grow the franchise side. And I want to travel. I want to, spend time with my grandkids. I want to make sure that I'm really having that kind of time. But it's hard to do that when you're stressed out every day about making ends meet and making sure your deadlines, your goals are all met.
And I think, we're just thinking this through because it's a new topic to us. We haven't really thought about it. But to me, if I'm at peak business, I'm thinking nothing goes my way today. Nothing goes my way the rest of the week. And I'm okay. We'll tee it up and do it again next week. So
I think.
No,
sorry,
go ahead. No, please go ahead.
I think that's spot on. When you're at that point where you could just wind, like one of those little toys, you wind it up and you can let it go. And no matter the outcome, whether it goes in a straight line or just completely falls off the table, you're okay. It's fine. And things are going to work out. Why are things going to work out? Because they always work out. When is it not worked out in the end? So I tell myself that all the time. Why am I stressing about this? The last time I stressed about this, it worked out in the end. And even if I didn't get the client or whatever, something didn't go my way, life was fine.
Yeah.
It all worked out in the end. So why am I putting this pressure on myself?
I heard a quote one time that some guy said, "My life has been a series of tragedies, most of which never happened."
Wow.
So we fret about and we worry about, we always assume the worst is going to happen, and how unfrequently, rarely that actually happens, that the worst happens. Almost never.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're Holeinthewall Drywall Repair, and for years we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall, developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with Holeinthewall Drywall Repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today.
I've been thinking too about what comes if you reach that point where you feel like you've peaked in your business. What comes after that? What's next? Is there a sense of disappointment, like you mentioned, of wait, this is it? Oh no, I have to be able to be bigger and better than this. So then I think what some people do is they find a great zone, but then they start to overcomplicate. They start to over optimize. They start to recommit to things that really they have no business doing because they handed that off years ago. And then, I don't know, I feel like it's this dangerous place. This peak mindset is probably a very dangerous place to live. And so I think you guys' attitude of, I don't necessarily feel stressed about this anymore. I got great people working, under me. We've set up systems. We have processes where, and like you said, Bill, if nothing goes my way this day or this week, I'm going to be okay. I think staying engaged, but being able to think that way is a blessing. Yeah. And that's where I think we all strive to be, where we know everybody's taken care of. If, little fires come up, it's going to work out. Don't worry. We've got people, we've got processes. We'll take care of it. Nobody's getting put away over anything. Yeah. Yeah. We're all fine.
And if that is what peak business is, that's what we should all be working for. The day that you spent your lifetime building the machine and the machine now runs itself and and you're not worried day to day, and you can go fishing or take a trip or do something that isn't necessarily related to trying to increase business by 10% next year.
Right.
Yeah. I want to
think it's one
enjoy
of the-
life a little bit. Right. So you work so hard. Bill and I have had this conversation quite a bit. You work, you grind, you save, you don't spend a ton of money. I mean, heck, I used to give Bill all kinds of grief because when I first met him, he had like an old school, rear projection 4.3 TV that I think was given by somebody at church.
Yeah, somebody gave it to us.
And like, Bill, you realize that
rear projector.
the flat panels only cost a few $100. You could probably buy a nice one that take up less space. And he's like, but this one works. And it was like, I get it, but I want to enjoy certain things. And then but when's the last time you actually took your wife on a vacation that wasn't visiting family? Like I want to enjoy now because we're not guaranteed tomorrow, right? Because my perspective is different, right? So my wife's first husband passed away, and we've had relatives pass away, and it's like what I would hate is like you wait till you're 65, you retire, and then you die at 69, and you only had a few years to enjoy all of the work that you spent up to this point, saving and building a heritage for your family, and then you don't even get a chance to enjoy it, right? So for me, my motto has always been, I'm going to work as hard as I can, but I'm going to enjoy life while I can. Maybe not as much as I would when I'm retired, but I'm still going to enjoy life now because we're not promised tomorrow. And things happen. Buses still drive on the road that hit people. There's pandemics. There's all kinds of crazy things going on in this world. And so I just don't want to live my life looking back going, man, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have traveled more. I wish my wife and I could have engaged in each other differently. So we're carving out parts of our life just to make sure that we're not waiting till the end. Then again, we're not.
You made me think, James, of that guy's quote. No one at death ever says, "Gosh, I wish I'd have spent more time at the office."
Yeah,
I wish I'd gone to the office a little more. And you just described my mother and my father to a T. So that really hits home for me, James, especially after what happened this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it has shifted my perspective greatly on what you just said. Because of the profession that I'm in and what I do for a living, I'm very much forward looking. I'm very much, I'm thinking 10, 15, 20 years in the future, at least. And I still do professionally. But I got to tell you personally, that binocular has come down, and I am not looking far in the future at all. Not now. Maybe it's still too fresh. Maybe I'm a little too early to be saying that, but I hear you, brother. Mm-hmm. And I think what you said is really storing my life right now. We're doing our first Disney trip in like 6 weeks. And so I'll be down you guys' neck of the woods for a little bit.
Yeah.
I won't have time for coffee, but you know how that goes. Yeah. But you're right. There is a balancing act there, and it can be tough. I mean, especially if you're a new entrepreneur, you're struggling, you're just opening a business for the first time. We've the three of us have been there. We know it's not easy. We know that you're stressed out all the time. We know that you're grinding hard, going to every, before, during, and after hours that you have to make connections and make it work. I mean, we've all been there. The guy I was mentoring yesterday, I told him that. I said, listen, if there was a breakfast, I was there. If there was a thing after business hours, I was there. If there was a luncheon with a speaker, I was there. And I was trying to be that speaker next time. Yep. You have to do those things. So, I mean, as weird as this would sound coming from someone who does what I do for a living, I'm in the business of saving and investing and putting money away for the future. Don't neglect the now. Mm-hmm. Don't. Because I promise you, it may not be you, but if it's not you, it will be someone close to you who will have it'll be like my parents all over again. I hate to be morbid. I hate to keep bringing it up, but I mean, it is a little bit fresh. So I think about it a lot, and I don't want that for anybody. I had just convinced my mother to start taking bigger distributions from her retirement because she could. And she was so tight forever. And I was like, stop being this way. You can take larger monthly income from your investment. Okay, fine. She was gone 3 weeks later.
Oh, yeah. My goodness.
Yeah. That's life, guys. It's a tough thing.
Yeah.
So peaking is good. Business is good. Building is good. Working hard is great. But don't neglect the now. And I think you said it beautifully, James.
Nice. Well, listen, that's a life lesson that we're all still learning. We're all a work in progress, right? Because you want to do well, you want to make sure you're providing for your family, and you want to have a retirement. You want to be able to give up life or give up work someday and have some money left over. But I tell you, you can live life without spending a ton of money now, right? So you don't have to go on worldwide vacations to enjoy life. You can enjoy life at any price point, I believe. With that in mind, just if you're a young entrepreneur, if you're wanted to consult somebody who maybe wasn't even in business yet, and you had a piece of like financial advice or some words of wisdom to give either a young entrepreneur or a young adult, like even my kids, what would you say to them? Things that you wish you would have done earlier in life that you now know better?
It's really the pay yourself first mentality and treat it like a bill. Treat it like a bill. You would never dream of not paying your internet bill or your cell phone bill or paying for the gas you put in your car. You wouldn't dream of not paying for those things. So you have to treat yourself like a bill. You have to treat yourself like something that's on the balance sheet that is a non-negotiable that you cannot do without. If you're a young guy or young gal out there in your 20s, 30s, heck, I'll even give you early 40s if you're starting a new business, pay yourself first. Always pay yourself first. I don't give much blanket advice because I can't, but something that I try to be very insistent on with people is if you've got that 401k option, max it out to the match at least. So if you have to put in 5% to get 4%, do it, make it a non-negotiable, pay yourself first, treat it like a bill. If you don't have access to something like that, a great goal is to try and max out a Roth IRA or an IRA each year if you qualify. And if you're under 50, that's $7,000 a year. That's the most the government will let you put into a plan like that. Anybody can have it if you're 18 or over and you have employment income. You can have an IRA or a Roth. There's some tax differences between the two. So I would definitely tell you to talk to your advisor or talk to your CPA or whoever's giving you that advice to figure out which one is more appropriate for you. Even on the 401k side, there is now regular and Roth generally. So, tap your professional friend on the shoulder that you met at the Chamber of Commerce and ask them the difference between those two things so that they can help you point you in the right direction. You can at least, at the very least, starting advice, check those things off, getting that 401k match or contributing to an IRA or a Roth. That's a great start. I've never known anybody who did that have regrets doing it. It's always been a positive. It's always been good. And it's also a good habit, getting you in the savings habits, those investing habits, to really accelerate that later and then get in some real financial planning and decide, okay, what's all this investing going to get me when I'm such and such an age? All right, to get there, I need to put in this much per month. Well, that's pretty easy. You could figure that out. That's a number you can just do some math on and figure out. It's like that old Voya commercial. Everybody had their big orange number underneath their arm.
I remember that one.
You remember that? Everybody's got a number. That's your number. But starting that savings plan early, make it a non-negotiable. Just do it. You will thank me later. I promise.
And I've heard, maybe you even told me too, the single most important thing in investing is not how much money you put in, where you put the money, but that you start early and do it for a long time.
I did tell you that. Nice.
I've tried to relay that to my kids too.
Yeah. So how late is too late to start? How old is too old?
Oh boy. It scales with dollar value dramatically. If you have big bucks to put away, it's never too late. But if realistically you're asking me, hey, what's the latest you can put in small contributions, let's say 150, 200 bucks a month, and it actually do something for you. Those are really small numbers. If you're going to put in 100, 200 bucks a month, you better be in your 20s or 30s. Because if you're 40 years old, that's not going to cut it. If you're 50 years old and you have not started saving, which I don't know many people who are 50 who have nothing, no savings, no investments, no 401k, no nothing. But I mean, in the rare situation, we're talking 5 figures a year minimum to make that work. So again, it all scales with age. That's why what Bill just said is key. The most powerful force in finance is time. If someone starts a savings plan at age 25, young guy, maybe like someone who works for you guys or an apprentice plumber, apprentice welder or something, or heck, we have a lot of tourism here. The guys who are working as deckhands on boats, first mates, bartenders, barbacks, people waiting tables, making $200, $300 and $400, $500 a weekend in tips. If you're in your 20s, early 30s, and you're putting away half of that, you're fine. You are good. I can almost guarantee it, even with dismal market returns. You start that at a young age, you are good. But the longer you wait, the more money you're going to have to shell out to get the same result. And that's the crux of the conversation. It's going to be more expensive if you wait. And I like paying less for a better result, personally.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about any like trends. I mean, people see the ups and downs. You get the markets kind of going crazy. Some days it's amazing. Some days it's messed up, and they're afraid to kind of jump in the market. I mean, what kind of fear should we really be following, or is that where we just rely on you?
So, gosh, man, there's a lot of fear mongering out there on TV and the internet. And you got to remember, everybody's got an agenda. Everybody's got an agenda. Even me, I'm no exception. My agenda is I hope I find a good client. But there are far more nefarious agendas out there. I don't want to go into the politics and the media stuff and blah, blah, blah. You know, we all have our opinions and such on that. But don't believe everything you hear on the internet. Don't believe everything you hear on TV. Markets behave in a very logical way, but with volatility. We all saw what happened at the end of March, early April, when the tariff stuff started heating up. The market went haywire. And that's going to happen. And when the Ukraine crisis started in 2022, the market went haywire. We pretty much knew that was going to happen. And when COVID hit, obviously, there's going to be some shakeup in the market.
Right.
But what that does, it's interesting because I used to get all worked up about that. And now I get excited because I see a buying opportunity.
Yeah, it means opportunity, doesn't it?
I don't have a whole lot of clients who are open to that, but the ones that I do, if we see dips, they're getting calls from me going, "Hey man, you got any cash? Now's the time." But but you can't ever time the market. You can't predict the market. I'm not saying I can't either, but I think there are some pretty obvious buying opportunities that come along every now and then. As far as the regular day-to-day volatility in the market, everything moves in cycles. You see your 401k up 1 month, down 1 month. I encourage people, don't stress about it. Just don't stress about it, because investments work the best over a long period of time, uninterrupted. Just maybe get a second opinion to make sure that the investments that you have are high quality. And most of them are. And you won't have a problem. Just make sure you're not investing like a 60-year-old when you're 20. I had a guy once who worked for a car dealership, brought me his statement. I looked at it and I go, "How old are you?" And he goes, 28. And I go, "No, you're not. You're 68. He said, "Huh?" I said, "Bro, you're investing like my mother." and she's collected Social Security. You know, the guy was in like 80% bonds in his 20s in his retirement plan. So I don't see that very much, but it's funny when it does happen, because you can really just, make a drastic course correction for that person, send them on their way, and they're probably going to be good for the next 10 years as long as they're contributing to that 401k. There's some, fun stories sometimes.
Nuts. Well, Kyle, is there anything else we haven't touched on that we can talk about before we let you go?
If I had to bring up one parting shot, I would say, if you're in this business life, if you're in this entrepreneurship race that we all feel like we're in sometimes, you have my permission to put yourself first sometimes, and definitely put your family first.
Yeah,
all the time, because you're never going to have any period of life where you look back and go, "Golly, I wish I'd spent less time with my family and more time cold calling or doing leads." A lot of us don't do that anymore, but you get what I mean. Remember what's important in life. Business is important, but there are some things in life that are far more important and always will be. So let's just all do our best to try and remember that. And if you're having a hard day, your business is not going to give you a hug and pat you on the back and say, "Hey man, it's going to be all right." Guess who is? Your family, your friends, your colleagues. Mm-hmm. So remember that. Remember what's really important when you're out there grinding.
That's a good word.
That is a good word. Well, Kyle, it is so great to see you again. It's so great to talk to you, my friend. If someone wants to get a hold of you to kind of pick your brain and get some words of wisdom and bring on someone with your with your credibility to the world, what's the best way to get hold of you?
Email's probably the best. And I check my email multiple times a day. Kyle.davis@prudential.com. Nice and easy.
Kyle.davis@prudential.com. All right, folks, that's it. Kyle, thank you so much. We truly, truly enjoyed you. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we will catch you on the next time, huh?
Thanks for having me, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time.
See you, buddy.
See ya.
We'd like to thank you for listening to the Holeinthewall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.